Hello, everyone. Today is Thursday, October 26th, and this is the Cluster API Provider Azure Office Hours. If you are joining us for the first time, just a reminder that this is a Kubernetes subproject, and we are abiding by the CNCF Code of Conduct. So please be respectful and nice to everyone and raise your hand if you'd like to say something. If you haven't already, please add your name to the attendee list. And if you have any topics that you'd like to discuss, feel free to add under the open discussion. All right. So I think we have a pretty light agenda so far, but if anyone else has any add-on topics they want to discuss or any PRs we should look at or any questions at all, feel free to add. For now, I guess we don't really have anyone new here, but I'll just in case if there's anyone here who'd want to say hi or introduce themselves, hasn't been here in a while, now is your chance. I will pause for a second. You can speak up if you'd like. All right, all familiar faces. Okay, so let's get into it. I think we just have a few PSAs so far. So the first one is mine. I posted about this in Slack as well, but I haven't really seen many reviews on this PR. I know it's a large one, but I've addressed any comments that came through so far, and I'd love some more pair of eyes. So if you have a chance, please take a look. This is allowing joining self-managed machine pools to manage clusters. So yeah, thanks for the reviews in advance. All right, Matt, you have the next one.
Yeah, if you could click on it. It's nothing that interesting. There's a security vulnerability that they identified in gRPC that I'm pretty sure we wouldn't qualify for anyway. But in practice, this has stopped at least one PR from merging because we have that dependency checker, and it sees that we're still using an older version of gRPC, and then it fails the PR. So specifically, the CAPI update PR against the 111 branch is blocked on this. So I'd like to merge it and then cherry pick it, and then that'll solve the problem. So none of that's very interesting. Maybe the only interesting thing is this relates to a security alert. We have code scanning and Dependabot both can generate security alerts, which are inside the GitHub project. And most of the time that prompts Dependabot to actually create a PR that solves the problem. This time it couldn't, and I went and tried to get it to do it again, and I haven't dug into the logs. But it might be interesting, or maybe we should make a task for one of us to figure out if there was some configuration we can fix to have allowed Dependabot to actually fix this for us. Maybe not. So I just created the PR. And then once I was poking around in that sort of admin area with alerts, I realized there were a couple other ones there, one of which was really easy to address. So I opened a PR. But I guess it begs the question, I didn't get emails or specific notifications about these security alerts. So maybe there's some configuration to do, or maybe I'm missing them. But I'm curious if Cecile or any other admins or maintainers were notified about this, or if at this point it's just on us to go look around in the settings alerts area.
Yeah, that's a good question. I also don't get alert or emails or notifications for these. I don't look at my GitHub notifications, to be honest. I just use emails. So yeah, I'll poke around also and see if there's any settings that needs to be changed on our side to get notified of these. But yeah, that's a good catch. I wonder, so this was in Go mod, so that's really interesting that Dependabot didn't open the PR.
It tried to, but it failed.
Oh,
and then there's
I
actually
see.
a button if you go in there that says try again, and it failed. And then I didn't have time to dig into the logs and see if there was anything obvious. I think you can click on alerts. I don't think it's actually going to show anything sensitive to this audience if you want to browse around. But
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah, I was just wondering since we're recording it, that's
I guess maybe it's sensitive. The nature of the alerts that are actually attached to the project right now could be considered sensitive. So maybe not click on it. But otherwise, there's nothing crazy in there.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you know if all PRs are failing to open by dependabot, or is it just this one?
No, not all of them. I'm not sure why, but definitely the one against the release 111 branch failed.
Got it. Okay, well, it looks like this is already approved in LGTM. I'll add my LGTM on top. And we're just needing this to merge, and then it's going to get cherry picked.
Yep, and that'll close several security alerts. And then there's one other PR in the queue that just fixes a regex that was qualified as a high. But after those two merge, I think we won't actually have any alerts above medium. Most of them look not very actionable.
Got it. I see you only cherry picked it to 111. Are we wanting to cherry pick to 110 as well?
Yes, but I think we've seen weird behavior with Prow itself when you try to say cherry pick release 111, cherry pick 110 in one comment. And I'm not really sure how that works anymore. It definitely doesn't work reliably. So, and also I wasn't sure what whether it applied to both branches. So after I did that, I went and looked. And I said in a subsequent comment, gRPC is not actually up to 158.2. It's so we might have it might not apply. We might have to do it separately.
Okay, yeah, I think we might need separate PRs for that then.
Yeah. So I was just going to
Okay.
let it see if how the cherry pick goes, and if that fails, then I'll make manual PRs.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry, that was
Yeah,
really in the weeds.
for what it's worth for the cherry picks, I think it does show weirdly, but it does end up doing both. If you put both in one comment, essentially we'll only like reply to the second one in this
I
reply comment, but then it ends
Yeah,
up doing both cherry picks PRs anyways.
I've seen that, but we have one counter example of John doing exactly that and it just ignoring him. So maybe it was a
Mm,
bad day for Prow, but you're right. Yeah, usually that works. I actually wasn't sure if the 110 branch could receive it or not.
yeah.
That I would.
Okay. Well, this is about to merge, so we saw this PR live. All right.
Excellent.
Cool. Thanks for that, Matt, and thanks
Yeah, sure.
for the announcement. Any questions anyone has so far on either of these? All right. In terms of releasing these, should we plan to do a normal patch release beginning of next week, or do you think it's critical enough that we should do an emergency patch release today or tomorrow?
I don't think it merits an emergency patch release because I'm pretty sure we don't run anything that's a gRPC server intentionally or otherwise, which is how you would exploit this. So I don't think it really applies to us. It's mostly just that it started to clog the PR queue that I thought we should jump on it.
Got it.
But yeah,
I
I
see.
think it's totally fine to wait till next week to do a patch release because then also the CAPI upgrade, the CAPI update that this is blocking should have merged, and that's a nice clean patch release then.
I see. So is it blocking because it's failing? Oh, is it failing the check?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good then. That's a way, I guess that's one way of us getting alerted. The PRs
Yeah.
can't merge. Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right. This is the end of all the um agenda topics that were put down. Does anyone have anything? This is a light one today, so good opportunity if you have any kind of ideas or random questions. All right.
Um,
Um,
uh,
oh, go ahead, Chandan.
yeah, sorry. So I was just having a random question about like one of the issue I was working on related to E2E logging. Let me open up the PR number. Uh, okay, sorry. It's issue number 3845. Yeah, so I was just going through the this issue. Um, I did a bit, but I did not get much idea what is actually need to be fixed. I was talking with Matt about that, but still I did not understand completely. So if I get a little bit more idea about that, I think that will be better to solve it. But this is kind of a technical question. I don't wanted to hijack this meeting to about this.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I don't know, Matt, if you have any hints or
Well, we talked a
tips.
little in Slack, but I mean, I guess I haven't dug that deeply, but there's some E2E code that you've probably looked at that is trying to collect logs and runs into this error and then just fails out because collecting logs in general is a best effort thing. You know, it's not a fatal error, unfortunately. And it's in the VMSS Flex test specifically, right? Yeah, Flex E2E. So that suggests that the instance ID or the particular machine that we're addressing or trying to scrape logs from is a different format, whether if we're doing VMSS uniform, which is the traditional one, or VMSS Flex. And over time, we've had to put in a lot of some of it kind of hokey code to massage the difference between the two because, you know, so there's some functions already that expect or try and mutate the resource ID from one to the other. And my assumption is in the E2E test code, we just never caught up with those kind of changes. And so, so either we don't need to parse the resource ID because it's already in the right format, or vice versa, something like that. I'm not being super helpful, but
Y-
is
Yeah,
this where
so
it
I think
is?
this is the code you're talking about, right, Matt?
Yeah, yeah. This is probably specifically where it comes
Yeah.
from.
So essentially, Chandan, for context, there's two types of VMSS in Azure. There's the what are called orchestration mode. There's Flex, and then there's Uniform. And this code was written at the time where only Uniform existed. So it parses the ID, the provider ID, in a very specific way, where it expects that the instance ID will be at position length -1. And I think what Matt is saying is that this is no longer true for Flex necessarily. And when we added support for Flex, we didn't necessarily update this code to reflect that. And because the logging is best effort, it didn't fail to alert us. So we only noticed when we saw the error of logging in the logs, but it's not failing per se, like causing an error. So I think the issue to fix it, what we need to do is update this specific part of the code, this function, to account for flex scale sets. So maybe what that means is checking if we're having like a is flex parameter or something like that. And then if it's not flex, we just keep the logic the same. But if it is a flexible scale set, then we need to parse the idea a bit differently.
Okay, okay, got some idea. Okay,
Does that help?
yeah, that will help.
Cool. Do you
If you
want
can
the
just
link to
paste
the
me that
code?
link, yeah, that will be great for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let me
thanks
do
for explaining
that.
that more clearly, but I definitely agree. That's the idea. The big pain about this is to actually test it, you sort of have to run that E2E test, which it's a
Yeah.
long loop. You can run it locally. Have you had any success running the E2E test locally, or have you tried doing that?
No, I did not try it running locally. I was just trying particular functionality, not the complete E2E.
Okay, yeah. E2E is kind of an all or nothing thing, but if you're able to run them locally, you could narrow it down to just the VMSS Flex test, and that would be a little faster. Uh, but I can post a comment about how to do that. But if you haven't set it all up, it might take you a little bit.
Okay,
All right.
thanks for explaining.
Yeah, thanks for
No
asking. This
problem.
is exactly what this meeting is for.
Cool. Anything else? All right. So I mean, we don't have quorum today, so I don't know if we should do too much grooming triage. what would be most helpful to folks? Should we take a look at the open PRs? Because there's a bunch of open PRs. Should we take a peek at the milestones since we're, what, 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away? Yeah, so release is coming up pretty fast. And I think it's also around the time, it's like right up, I think okay, maybe we should talk about that actually. Actually, I should add an agenda item, but just wanted to chat a bit about the release dates. So we said due November 14th, I think just because that's 2 months after the last time we released, which is how we usually do it. I'm wondering if strategically that date is a good idea. So there's lots of things happening around that time. I think so KubeCon is the week before, and then Cappy is also releasing its beta, or it's RC on November 14th. So the Cappy RC is coming out that day. And then I think the week after is Thanksgiving, and several of the maintainers I think are going to be taking time off around this time. So given that, how do folks feel about the release date? Any suggestions or opinions on where we're at? David.
Yeah, we did cover this, I don't know,
Okay.
it was 2, 3 weeks ago. I'd have to look through which week it was on the notes, but I think the rough consensus was to try and include the RC if we can, and bump the day back a day or two so that we can include the RC for
Okay.
1/6.
Should we just do that now so that it's expected?
Yeah, sure.
So I think the RC is coming out on the Tuesday. Should we move it to the
Yeah.
Thursday, maybe?
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
I think so. They give a little bit of time, and we have the RC, we have the bits beta or whatever they are now to test in case we can catch any early issues. Obviously, we're not going to merge it now, but like we can, see if there's any problems. So yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, to that, I opened a PR this morning for beta 0, the Cappy beta 0 release, and it's not passing yet because I haven't caught up with a couple code changes, but it looks pretty straightforward. It's definitely not like the last release. So I think, so I don't anticipate a lot of, pardon me, I don't anticipate a lot of code thrashing around like we had to do last time.
Okay, that's good. Okay, yeah, so 2 days I think should be safe after the release to give buffer.
Do we want to include the RC in the code when we release? I don't think that's what I think we talked about having it in the test code for Willie's cluster class PR, but I don't think we'd want to update the GoMod dependency until the actual stable release, right?
So to make sure I understand right, so the cluster class will still work for the test dependency and it will work for the main release, even if we don't move to 1.6 RC. Is that right? Like people could still use cluster class in CapZ with the 112? Or no?
Yes, I believe so. Matt, go ahead. I'll let you answer.
Yes, I think so. I think that's what we had decided last time, and definitely we were planning only to vendor in for the tests.
So then, yeah. So then
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yes, we don't have to do. Yeah, we don't have to worry about that. But I think moving it back 2 days still, at least for the test dependency for the lets us put that in at that level as well.
Okay, I agree. It gives a bit more breathing room. All right. Cool. What do we think? Should we go through this? Should we not?
I
What
think
would be helpful?
I think we're pretty good. I was actually just looking at the PR board queue, updating things. I think the only thing, there are 2 needs review PRs that don't have a assignee. One is Nawaz's PR, another one's a pretty new one. It looks pretty trivial. So yeah, that one and that one.
Cool. John?
Yeah, I can take a pass at Nawaz's PR.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, this one's new.
That's pretty fresh. Yeah, I gave it the okay to test, but it looks very small. Like just
Okay.
adding.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that one. Okay. Great. Yeah, looks like there's quite a few right now that are needing review, so I think we should focus on that in the short term. All right.
Yep.
Cool.
And for folks who are assigned and you haven't review, and then if you did review it, make sure you update the status to, waiting on author or whatever, so that you get it out of that mode.
Yep. All right. Well, if there is nothing else, I think we can all take a bit of time back today and then go do some PR reviews. All right. Good to see you all. Thanks, everyone.
See you
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
see you
Bye.
next week.
Yeah.